Good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to the heartland of America as we get set to roll to continue on for real sim racing competition here on a Wednesday night. The Asphalt Assault Xfinity Series presented by Inside Sim Racing. Getting ready to take the green flag tonight from the Iowa Speedway. Jacob Silman, Evan Pasoko, Brian Macklin here in the LSRTV broadcast booth. As Evan, I'm looking out and I'm seeing a racetrack, and I'm also seeing corn, and a little bit more corn.
I'll tell you one thing we're not seeing is lights. Typically, you're going to see under the lights. When we were here 1 week ago with the Outlaw Truck Series, it was a night race, and in correlation with the actual NASCAR Xfinity Series, we're racing in the day. You don't typically see an Iowa race not under the lights. It is a lot more difficult to drive, which means that these drivers really trying to take advantage of the practice session, and now they head into a 10-minute closed qualifier session. You got to love when it makes it up a little bit.
Oh, I love it. It's going to make the track hot, greasy, slick, and we're going to be slip-sliding around, and it's going to be a whole lot of fun to drive, Brian Macklin.
Oh, that's right. And you said it. It's going to be hot and slick. When that sun beats down on this track, on the asphalt, it makes this track real loose, and it's going to make these drivers work for it. The lap times, I was looking at it and comparing it to the official iRacing Series, they're almost a second slower than what we run here under the lights. So this is going to be an interesting race. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch, and we're going to have a blast calling it tonight.
It's going to be a whole lot of fun. Qualifying underway. It's the closed qualifier for 10 minutes, Evans, so not going to see a lot of chances to make these runs. And right now, surprise, surprise, Jeff Ward, who has won 3 Outlaw Truck races this season, a Full Throttle Cup race, he's still looking for the Xfinity race to complete the trifecta, become the first driver so far in RSR history to win in all 3 series in a single season. He's got a 10th on the rest of the field. Shocker, not.
It's almost starting to look like it's unfair how good that team has been in recent weeks. They were fastest in practice, and they backed that up with a really solid qualifying run. You talk about how you really don't have an opportunity to recover from a mistake, as opposed to when we see the open qualifier sessions. You can go out there, give it a little bit more, get it maybe an insurance run and then go. You can't do that, because as soon as you complete a lap, you're on your second one. You can't go back down to the pit lane and start it over. I'm seeing a lot of guys staying out even after they are done their 2 laps, just trying to get a little bit more practice in. The car's really, really loose out of 4, which is ironic because 1 week ago when we were talking about trucks, everybody was complaining about how tight they were. A completely reversal tonight here at Iowa.
It's reverse of maybe not what you would expect, but definitely of what we've seen. And Brian, you talk about the changing conditions and the changes for these drivers in a lot of the handling. How tough is that going to make this 125-lap race tonight, knowing that everything that these guys are going through right now is different than what they've been going through?
Well, I think the hardest thing is getting it in your head mentally that this is not under the lights, that you can't go as fast, that you can't drive the car as hard as you would normally when you come here and we're running under the lights. It's going to change the game plan for these guys. They're going to have to save the tires a little bit better. They're going to have to attack this racetrack completely differently from what they're used to. I've ran this track many times, and when you go out there under the lights, you have a lot of grip. You can sail off into the corner and drive in there a lot further than what you can here when it's out in the middle of the day like this. They're going to have to back the corners up and really take care of their cars tonight.
Taking care of the cars. We're talking like we're at a short track. Oh wait, we are at a short track, so that would make a whole lot of sense. And Evan, when we talk about short tracks, the other thing we talk about is cautions. And the question now becomes, are we going to see them, and what's the over-under tonight? Because usually when we come to Iowa, we tend to get a few.
Yeah, and then we talk about how we've been saying it's so loose out there on track, it's going to be very hard to control them. It almost might force these drivers to be afraid to make a move early, but really don't count on the guys rolling over quite early on in this. We sit right now, looks like it's going to be about a 24-car field by the time we drop the green flag. You're going to get cautions. Now, there is a chance that you get spread out, you get a long green flag stretch, but again, the cautions tonight might not even come from just contact between other drivers, might be similar to what we saw when the trucks were here, and that is guys just finding the track to be very difficult to understand, very difficult to navigate around for 125 laps as well.
So we talked about some of the storylines. Let's talk about a few of the drivers that aren't named Jeff Ward, because we know he's going to be a threat. I'm looking at one of the guys who's been fast in RSR competition. He just moved a second on the board, about 4/100ths off, and he was Jeff Ward's chief challenger. The last time Ward really went out and knocked the field for a loop at Kentucky on one of these Wednesday night races, Anthony DeBarro. I know that was a truck race, but nevertheless, Evan, the 46 machine, he's shown he's not afraid to go out and just get it done, and he's also part of that Boomtown Sim squad that's just had so much momentum lately. We talk about how funny a thing that is.
Yeah, when we were talking to Jeff Ward, he says he's having fun because he's fast and he's having good luck. It's an exact similar situation for the RCO Boomtown Sim operation. They have all been running very strong. He got Anthony DeBarro, who some felt like that was his race to lose, really, a couple of weeks ago in the trucks, and everybody felt like he would have been the winner. Things didn't really pan out in the end, but he was up there and he was competitive as well. How about Anthony Palumbo right now? Top 4 as well for that number 87 machine. Matt Lacrosse in between him and DeBarro for a top 3 as qualifying. Starts to come down to a close. Still waiting on John Abbott, Stephen Herring, Dwayne Vincent to qualify if they are going to be starting up in this race. But there's quite a few names that are up there. There's quite a few names that are a little bit down the board that they may like to try to make up early on in this one. One big name I noticed, a driver that did not get the lap he wanted, Paul Williams, top 10 in practice right now. Dead last on the board, a 25.6, looks like a lap that he just wanted to complete after maybe he had some issues on his first go at it.
Yeah, that does look like the case for that number 88 crew, and that's a real shocker, Brian, because we've watched that crew be a team and a driver that has really been impressive in this Asphalt Assault Xfinity Series. Maybe not gotten a win to show for it yet, but they've been right up in the thick of things every single week, and that's very uncharacteristic of that 88 squad.
Yeah, you said it. It's very uncharacteristic, but I do believe he's going to get up through the field here. He's a good driver. He's smart. He's not going to rush things. He's going to take his time, and I think he's going to avoid the wrecks that we are going to see. You said the question of if we were going to have him. We're going to see him tonight, and I think he's going to miss them, and he's going to end up being a threat to win. He may not have gotten a victory yet, but he's going to get one soon. He deserves one. He's a fast driver, and he's going to get one.
And I believe, like Evan said, we are rolling down to the point where we are just about done, if not done, in qualifying here at the Iowa Speedway. So Jeff Ward at least appears he is going to claim yet another pole position for the 2015 season. You got 2 Boomtown Sim guys in the top 5. DeBarro second, Christopher Hurlow 5th. You got Matt Lacrosse up there from the Four Wheels squad in 3rd. Anthony Palumbo, Evan, who has impressed a lot of people at the wheel of that Wrangler Goodwrench number 87. He's right up there in 4th, and he's another one that probably should have had a win this year. All the way back, I think it was Fontana, when he had fresh tires on that final restart and just got the caution that ultimately handed it to Thomas George, and I believe Jeff Ward finished second that night, the Seal Horse squad getting it done. That was back at the season opener.
And there's a lot of drivers. You talk about Jeff Ward being on pole position, and if he's the fastest car out here and he's on pole position, it's going to be pretty hard to pass him out there on the track. Another thing that we may see tonight, depending on, as Brian was talking about, how many cautions we see and what rate they come at, what frequency that we do see them, is some pit strategy that may end up putting Jeff Ward back in the pack, depending on what that 9 team does, or even more depending on what the other guys do. If we see them try to pull some sort of a tire strategy, which it's loose enough out there, it'd be a pretty gutsy call, even staying out. It all situational, but I think that if that 9 is as fast as it looks, it may have to be a move like that that gets the win from it.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch, and I'm watching the seconds dwindle down. We're at 10 seconds right now, and it looks like the red and black flags are in the hands of the flagman, and that means we are going to draw an end to qualifying, Evan. So let's take a look, the three of us, down the Ford Performance starting grid here at the Iowa Speedway, because on pole, as we mentioned, it's the 9, Jeff Ward. It is outside in the 46, Boomtown Sim, and Anthony DeBarro.
And in the next driver, first one back at a 24-3 bracket. Starting in 3rd is the 20 of Matt Lacrosse, and Anthony Palumbo talked about him. That machine will roll from 4th.
Starting in 5th, another one of the RCO Boomtown drivers is Christopher Hurlow in the 07. Starting 6th on the outside row is Scott Simley driving in the number 14.
7th tonight gonna be Steel Horse Racing's Thomas George, gonna be our in-race reporter here in just a couple of minutes. It is outside the 97, different numbers, same driver, Nathan Little.
Rolling on the inside of row number 5, P9's the Miller Lite Ford of William Keff. That number 22 rolls in P9. Alongside him, his neighbor, and outside, last car inside the top 10, the 41, that's Jared Como.
Starting in the 11th position is Greg Omo in the number 91. In the 12th position is the number 37 of J.R. Johnson.
Wyatt Wolf rolls from P13 outside row number 7, the Meatball Mobile, Jose Gonzalez 14th.
Brian Clark's number 89 is going to roll from 15th position, and 16th at 81, that's Keith Brooks Jr.
Starting in 17th is Jamie Pitts. He's in the number 99 tonight. And then Chris Hahn is in the number 27. He's starting 18th.
Back one more, the 19th position, the 60 of Kevin Kalsteck, 20th, Jimmy North in the 84, last car to take time, we talked about him earlier, Paul Williams the 2nd, Dwayne Benson, John Abbott, Stephen Herring electing not to take time in qualifying, and while we got a minute, Evan, I say we talked about him a minute ago, let's go ahead and dial up the driver of the number 1 and get Thomas George, our in-race reporter, on the radio tonight.
Hey, Thomas J. George, Sam Pasoko, Jacob Steelman, and Brian Macklin in the booth. You got a copy?
I got you there, good buddy.
Well, you got that tracker boat Chevy right now rolling from P7 on the inside of row number 4. We got 125 laps on tap, and it's a common theme. Jeff Ward's at the front. You guys got something that could beat him?
I feel like we do. You know, we got the Steel Horse powered Chevys here in good positions. We're only 2 in the field today. And I think we got something for him, but Jeff's always fast, you know, in fact, all of us are fast here, so it's just going to be a matter of playing the strategy right. If Richmond's any indication, there'll be a good amount of cautions, but it's going to be really tight positioning here tonight.
Close quarters racing, it's under the sunlight tonight in Iowa, no light, so this track very treacherous. What's going to be the key to make sure that number 1 makes it 125 laps?
Do the first thing I didn't get to do Monday and survive. The second thing is I think tire management's going to be a big factor here and getting what you can on the restart as well. Inside line might work for a couple laps here, but once the tires start going away, especially the right front and right rear, you're going to want to get to the high side in 3 and 4 and try to keep it as low as you can in 1 and 2 without wrecking the guy above you.
You're going to be rolling from P7, lights off on top of the pace car. We'll let you get back down to the team radio. We'll keep tabs on you. Best of luck.
All right, thanks, Evan. Have fun up there.
All right, we're less than a lap from green now, Brian. We've talked about the sun, how big a factor this is going to be tonight. It's going to be slick. It's going to be hot. What are you looking for here as we go through this first stint tonight?
Well, I'm looking to see who's going to be able to manage their tires the best. He said it best. You're going to have to try to save that right front and that right rear tire, and then when they do start to wear off, you're going to get to the outside line and try to maintain position up there. It's going to be a lot of fun. You're going to see a lot of dive bombs down in turn 3, people trying to do the slide drop, getting down in front of the guy on the outside, and then slide up in front of him as they come off turn 4. You're going to have a lot of fun watching that tonight.
Well, we're glad that all of you watching at home are here with us on LSRTV. The iRacing Ford First Mustang pace car heads for the pit lane, field in the hands of Jeff Ward, and the American Ethanol Grain flag flies. We're underway from the Iowa Speedway and the Get to Know Newton 125. Ward on the jump down to turn 1. Battle for second is off to the quick car 21. Matt Lacrosse trying to get underneath and gets loose down to the apron. Off turn 2, Lacrosse has to save it.
Yeah, you give it that little bit more wheel after he got a very, very small run in the quarter. He's still down low as we go 3 wide around him. Now the 87 getting real loose as well. Check it up, and the 1 machine gets into the back of the 07. A little bit of contact there between that 07 of Herlo and the 1 of George.
Well, geez, I know we wanted exciting racing, but I'm not sure if I meant on lap 1.5 that this was what I was talking about. A little further back in the pack, Jared Como was able to get through the early scrum. He's up to a top 10 position in the car. 41 right here, but Lacrosse is loose again. Down to the apron and saves it. He's going to drop back to about 15 as we come across to complete lap 2. Lacrosse, Bryant, is just way hung out right now.
Yeah, and he does not want to keep doing that because he's already got the tires.
Oh, trouble down the back straightaway. William Kemp, the Miller Lite machine, around. We stay green for the moment. He was down on the apron, but tagged the wall, Evan, coming off turn number 2, and had to do some nice maneuvering, and now we got another car around in the grass on the front stretch.
Kemp hung on to it. He's getting rolling, and now Chris Hahn going around the 27 machine sideways. It's like they're driving on black ice out there on corner exit. He hangs on as he goes on a off-road excursion through the grass, gonna get on the apron, get back going. Still no caution. We stay green, but it is very chaotic back in the pack.
I have never seen anything like this in the early laps, Brian. I know we talk about Iowa being a crazy little racetrack, but this is unlike anything I have ever seen on this sim. I know Iowa in the daytime is one of the toughest tracks on the surface, but these guys just literally have no grip. It's like they're driving on a skating rink out there.
Yeah, well, like we talked about in pre-race, they're not used to running this like this. In the official servers, we typically run here at night, and a lot of leagues run at night. And we got a battle for the lead up here. Anthony DeBarro is trying to challenge Jeff Ward, but yeah, this track is just a completely different beast from what we're used to. It's something that these drivers are going to have to adjust to, and they're going to have to change the way they race this track throughout the night.
How about DeBarro trying to get some momentum rolling on the high side in that 46 Race Chaser Online Speed 77 Radio Chevrolet. He's working to the high lane again in turns 1 and 2. He's right there, now drops down to the middle groove of the racetrack where it seems to be a little bit more group. They're working through lap traffic now as we work into turn number 3. First car that's going to fall astray, the 37 Cheetos entry, J.R. Johnson dropping a lap in 22nd.
And that means he'll be the first one again, as you said, down. So 22 cars starting this one. Chris Hahn, William Kemp. The two other drivers that have split out so far remain on the lead lap. Good news for both of them is they didn't really make any severe contact with the wall or anything. Just split about and kept going. We talked about DeBarro. DeBarro trying a very different entry. You see Jeff Ward down to the yellow line immediately. DeBarro's up there. Left side tires on the second seam of the racetrack, running much higher up. Maybe it's too loose down on the bottom. Again, we saw Lacrosse when he was down, where Ward's running right now. Just say it didn't work out very well in those first 3 laps, but the 46 looks like he's backing up the corner a lot more, hoping for a runoff. Meanwhile, Jeff Ward just taking a line that you would expect, drives it down in, drives it back off. But you can see right there in 3 how different they're really taking this track.
Yeah, Brian, let's talk about... Oh, never mind, we got trouble on the racetrack. Caution flying for the first time.
Brian Clark was sitting stationary in quarter 3. He's going to be the initial cause of the caution, and he just got nailed after the yellow was out. It looks like
that's
contact
the 81,
on lap
actually.
9 after the 21 of Brian Clark, or rather the 21 in front of him. Brian Clark gets into Matt Lacrosse, turns those machines down into the corner. Lacrosse misses the inside wall. Clark sitting on the track, and he just got nailed by Keith Brooks Jr. But the caution was out before they made that contact, so the 81 had nowhere to go trying to get around as that machine was sitting stationary in the middle of the track.
Lacrosse immediately coming over the radio and taking responsibility for that one. 10 laps in the books, and none of the leaders, at least, are taken down on the pit lane. We still got a long way to go here in the Get to Know Newton 125. Jeff Ward started from the pole, and he has led every lap so far. Brian, nice run by our in-race reporter so far. Thomas George started 7th, up to 4th in that Bass Pro Shops Tracker Boats number 1.
Yeah, and he had to work his way through a little bit of a mess there at the beginning. He was behind all those guys going 3 and 4 wide on the first couple of laps, and he did a good job getting through that and working his way up into the top 4. He's got a fast car, and he might be the one that can get up there and challenge Jeff tonight. I'm really excited to see this battle. They're teammates, but I'll tell you what, when you get down to the end of a race, you don't look at another driver as your teammate. You go out there and you try to win the race, and I think that's what we're going to see, because they're both hungry for wins, and they're going to race each other like that.
They are hungry, and Thomas George maybe a little more so, Evan. Can we finally get some good momentum going for that one crew? Every RSR race, like the last 4 weeks, it seems like something has happened to that team. And I told him the other night, after he got wrecked out on Monday night, I hate saying that on the broadcast, but what else can you do?
Well, again, it almost got really bad for him on lap 1 because, again, we talked about that checkup with Matt Lacrosse and then the checkup for Anthony Palumbo right there on the front straightaway. Thomas got into the back of him. He does sit with a little bit of right front damage, on that tracker boats number 1 Chevrolet Camaro, as well as some right rear damage. So it's not a picture-perfect race car, but it's still well within good racing conditions, and he did pick up 3 spots on a positive note in that opening stint. Goes from 7th to 4th position. He'll find himself in a high line, which, if it is any indication on what these cars are on a restart from what we saw with Matt Lacrosse earlier, that may as well be a little bit of a break. We'll have to see, though. Simley going to be on the inside of him. Great run for that 14 team, already up from 6th position to 3rd, second fastest in practice. That 14 team could very well be a sleeper tonight. They're running very good.
He's got the sponsor to do it. I mean, we talk about the fact that Budweiser has been in victory lane a lot lately, more so by Kevin Harvick in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. But Simley, you know, we haven't really talked much about him in RSR competition of late, Evan. He's been one of those guys that's just been exceptionally quiet behind the wheel of that number 14 entry, both here on Wednesday nights and in the Full Throttle Cup Series on Mondays. But we're used to seeing him up front. It's just kind of, you know, we talk about drivers having an off year, and this seems to be one of those so far for Scott Simley.
All right, well, we talked about Dwayne Vincent in the Full Throttle Cup Series side of things, how he's up at the top of the points, but he's not out there making a lot of noise. He's not in the, you know, the crazy side-by-side battles that we talk about. Very similar situation to Scott Simley. Drives quietly, and that's not to say that he's not out there and he's not being aggressive, but he just doesn't get himself in trouble. He takes a methodical approach to it. He's out there, second fastest in practice, a little bit slower maybe from what they were hoping for. P6 in qualifying, but still well out there in a competitive spot, much like Thomas J. George, moving up through the field, and they benefited from the issues that Matt Lacrosse had, because the 21 gave a lot of spots to a handful of these guys. He's way back right now in what's going to be 10th position. So far, so good for those drivers. DeBarro, though, 46 machine, I'm liking the way he's taking quarter number 3 differently. He's trying something, and you know, the way Jeff Ward has been so strong these last few weeks, gotta give him credit for at least trying to get something done on him.
You know what? I'm kind of liking it right now, honestly. Brian, what's the difference from the driver's seat and from a car standpoint as well between Ward, who's got that car glued to the yellow line all the way around, and DeBarro, who's trying that second or in some cases even third groove over in 3 and 4? Is that going to hurt the tires in the long run?
I don't think it'll hurt the tires too much. I think a lot of it's just personal driving style. I'm one of those guys that would get right up against the outside line like you're seeing there with Anthony DeBarro. I want to get up high and just kind of stay up there. Jeff must be really comfortable down on the bottom, and as long as he's making it work and not hurting the tires, I don't see anything wrong with it. I think it's going to be a winning strategy for him.
We're about ready to see what's going to happen, wrapping up our first Service Master Clean caution of the race. Field in the hands of Jeff Ward as the pace car is gone, and the American Ethanol green flag flies once again. This restart presented by American Ethanol. If it's good enough for NASCAR, it's good enough for your car. American Ethanol, fueled by corn. Battle for second down in turn number 2. DeBarro's under attack. He's got Simley to the inside. Now look at Thomas George. The run off turn 2 to the high lane. He's going to take third in turn 3.
That outside did pay off, at least down in 2. The 14 comes back a little bit in 3 and 4. It's going to slot back in line, but again, Scott Sibley experienced exactly what Matt Lacrosse went through, getting up to speed down on the bottom. Not a very friendly experience down in quarter number 2. Now that he's in line, able to duck down, they get those left side tires on that first seam. You'll see he'll progress lower in 1 and 2 as the long goes on, and you know, some drivers like to go lower in 3 and 4. They're up high right now. Jeff Ward, one of them. It's been working out so far, but a great battle on for second position. Thomas J. George trailing that number 46 all over the back bumper, only half a car length separating.
Yeah, those two putting on a fantastic battle right now, and I mean, George is just breathing down the rear deck lid of DeBarro as they work off turn number 2. Now that 46 puts about a half a car length's difference between them, and they're to the top in 3 and 4. Ward's down on the bottom, and it's going to be interesting to see. They are closing the gap, Brian, little by little, so I'm thinking they've got the right idea over there in the 3 and 4 end of the racetrack. They're at least making some speed right now.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting to me. I really thought that the bottom was going to be quicker for Jeff Ward here, at least on fresh tires. I'm kind of surprised to see that they're making that outside line work with more speed, but when he gets caught by those two, you're going to see him move up to that outside line. He's not going to let them pass him on the outside line like that. He's going to make them go to the bottom and try to make their moves down there. It's a defensive strategy, but it's what you have to do at this racetrack because it's so easy to get that run on the outside, and if he doesn't do that, they're going to just blow right by him.
Change for position number 7 back in the pack. We'll get to that in a minute. Caution flag, Evan, on the racetrack. Believe over in turns 1 and 2.
And there's trouble for Anthony Palumbo. The number 87 Wrangler Chevrolet turned around. That machine was running into the 9 spot and he's got himself down low. Again, we talk about how the inside is a lot more preferred in 1 and 2, but not the bottom. You want to be a little bit higher in 3 and 4 than you are in 1 and 2. Same thing we saw in the trucks, just a little bit higher up, maybe a whole lane different tonight, but same concept. Palumbo was on the inside. He was under attack. Jose Gonzalez doing a great job after starting 14th, the challenge for 8th. And the 87 just lost it down low. This time, caution does come out. He's locked them up, and the car was turned around on the racing surface. So exact same thing that we saw happen to Matt Lacrosse, essentially, brings it a caution this time, and that cycles at 87, who was looking quite strong after a top 5 qualifying effort back to P20.
And they're faking him out on pit road again, so with 20 of 125 complete, we're going to pause here on LSR TV. Jeff Ward, Anthony DeBarro, Thomas George, Scott Simley, Christopher Hurlow lead the Get to Know Newton 125 from Iowa. Stay with us. You're watching Real Sim Racing coverage here on Live Sim Racing TV.
Monza is a very historic track. It's been around since the 20s, and it's gone through several permutations since then. We're also bringing forward a number of configurations. So there's chicanes that they've installed since the track's early days. So they can use original, very high-speed configurations of the track where the cars would just blow through where the chicanes are today, or they could use a more modern version. So it's a pretty cool, compelling track. The unique thing about Monza is it has a road course, but it also has a high-speed oval. And that high-speed oval can be run by itself. The Grand Prix course can be run by itself. And they also can be run together in a combined circuit, which is very unique and special in motorsports. This was one of the more challenging projects that we've undertaken. It was essentially building 2 tracks in one. It took a lot of time and a lot of care was put into it, but we're really happy about the end result and we think that people have a lot of fun driving it.
Cars are lined up on the grid. The RSR World Championship Grand Prix Series. We are underway. They all come down into turn 1 for the first time.
Welcome back to LSRTV, here from the Iowa Speedway. Jacob Seelman, Evan Pasoko, Brian Macklin in the broadcast booth for the Real Sim Racing Asphalt Assault Xfinity Series, and the American Ethanol green flag just going back in the air with 24 laps complete and a change for second on the restart. How about the power move by the Bass Pro Shops #1 of Thomas George, who's going to slide up the racetrack and almost allow Anthony DeBarro back to the inside. DeBarro's there in 3.
Yeah, we knew he'd have to be careful down there on the bottom. It has not worked tonight. That's why he tiptoed through the quarter. 46 going to try the bottom in the 1 machine, getting that preferred line. So the crossover, good thought process on it by Anthony DeBarro. Not going to work out. 46 slides back to 3rd. Meanwhile, door-to-door for P4. Christopher Herlow working the bottom. He fights with Scott Simley at him, too.
Yeah, how about Christopher Herlow, the young RSR rookie, trying to make something happen, and they almost make contact in turns 3 and 4. Herlow using him up, and caution flag flying again behind him, Evan.
And big trouble this time down in the quarter. Multiple cars going to be involved in this one. We're going to slow them down. The pace car picking up the field. All of this going to start, we think, with the number 60 machine, and it was a big single file line in the corner. A little bit of a checkup by the 22 of William Kemp, and it's Kalstak who gets into the back of him, spins it around to 99, just follows right on through. Both those machines end up turned around in the corner. More guys sliding through this one, just trying to avoid it. Anthony Palumbo just got through an incident. He gets checked up, and that one ends up around as well. Not a lot of heavy contact, but a lot of cars spinning yet again.
Yeah, by my count, Evan, 5 cars in this one. The 60, the 22 of Kemp, the 27, Chris Hone, the 99 of Pitts, and the 87 of Palumbo, as it looks like this time we're seeing a little bit of action on pit lane. A lot of these guys who may have been involved in it or were towards the back of the field heading down pit road, but yet again, the leaders are all staying out right here, Brian. Why not have some of these front runners pit yet? Why do you stay out after a 28 or 30 lap run on older tires when you know the track is slick? You already know you're sliding around. It almost seems counterintuitive to what you'd expect.
Well, I think a lot of it is track position here. Jeff Ward and Thomas George, they ran the Cup race on Monday night, and track position was key, especially towards the end of the race. That it typically is that way when you come to a short track, and I have to believe that's what's keeping them out here on the racetrack instead of coming down to get tires. Trust me, as a driver, I know when you get a few laps on your tires, you are screaming, begging for tires. You want your crew to give you tires, but you have to play the strategy game too, and I think right now that's what we're seeing. These guys know that they can't get themselves back in traffic. It's hard to pass. You put yourself in a position where you could get into a wreck, and there's a lot of negative factors that are coming down pit road right now, so I kind of like this call. At the same time, it's confusing, but I do like this call.
Anthony Palumbo's just taking his car to the garage area, so he's going to be done for the night and looks like going to ultimately end up in the 21st position once he cycles out behind the 89 of Brian Clark. So Palumbo becomes the second official retiree of the evening as Jeff Ward continues to lead. I want to touch base with his teammate back there in second, our in-race reporter, Thomas George, tonight. We're so used to saying Snap-on, but that Bass Pro #1 machine, we can see it a whole lot better with the neon orange. Thomas George, Jacob Seelman upstairs in the TV tower. 29 laps, it's greasy, it's hot here at Iowa. You guys haven't pitted yet. Are you screaming for tires, or is tonight more about track position than it is about fresh rubber on that machine?
You always want Ford tires when you can get them, but it's so hard to pass here, and we've seen what's happened with the cautions coming out. You have the guys with fresh tires trying to get through, and they just haven't been able to. So as much as I would like to get tires with my teammate here too, it's just track position is key, and we're just gonna have to put up with it.
Here's a bigger question, I think. Getting ready for this restart, you're actually going to be on the outside lane for the first time tonight. We've seen the outside lane work for a few people on some of these restarts. In fact, you actually made it work to go to third back about 2 cautions ago now. Do you like that maybe for this restart? Do you think you'll be able to use that to your advantage against your teammate, or is it one of those where you guys are kind of working together to fall into line and maybe settle it a little later on in this race?
I mean, It's from now. I think we're just gonna try and do what we can to keep the positions we got. If I get the chance to do it, I'm gonna try it. But if I do that, it's gonna put him probably back to 3rd or 4th because the inside is not a good line here. At least not after a long run. So it's just gonna be. If we get in this position later in the race, yeah, we're gonna go all out. But I think for now we're just gonna try and do what we can and stay up front, stay out of trouble until we get to that point.
All right, Thomas, we're liking the Bass Pro colors up here. We're definitely keeping an eye on you. We'll let you get back. Good luck.
Thanks, Jacob. Enjoy the show.
So the lights go off on top of the iRacing.com Ford First Mustang pace car. Still Jeff Ward atop the pile. One thing I've noticed is it has not been a dominating performance quite yet. He's led every lap so far, but Thomas J. George closing in on him. Anthony DeBarro's giving him a good amount of trouble so far tonight. He has not really been able to stretch out a lead, but he continues to use that bottom lane. I'm looking for a long green flag stretch here to see what the heck can happen. The green flag drops, and already everybody wants to get in line inside the top 3. DeBarro thinks about going low, not going to do it. We're nose to tail for P1 and 2.
And how about the red and blue going at it back behind them for P3? Christopher Hurlow had a mind to take it to his Boomtown Sim teammate, and looking like no, he is going to stay on the high line in turns 3 and 4 this time around. But the challenge is going to be to the inside as Hurlow tags the fence off turn 4. The 07 nearly getting into it. That's going to allow the 21 of Matt Lacrosse to the inside in 1.
Lacrosse going to go to the place that has not been very good for him at all tonight, and not going to get sideways, but can't really get the spot. Good defensive move by Hurlow. Going to get the run off of quarter number 2, maintains the spot, but it shows you there, you dig a little bit more, the car can just snap on you. Did a good job of hanging on to it, but again, so close to the fence out of 4.
Well, you know, we're talking about a matter of inches, Brian. You want to run that high lane in 3 and 4, but you got to be so excruciatingly careful. The slightest misstep, and like Christopher Hurlow just saw, you're in the fence in a heartbeat, and that safer barrier is very unforgiving at this racetrack.
Yeah, it is very unforgiving, but fortunately this is a lot like Richmond. It's a short track. The fenders don't really mean a whole lot. As long as you don't mess up the toe on the front end or hurt the motor in any way, you should be alright, and that's what it looks like with him. He's got some right front damage, but it doesn't look like it's hurting the performance of the race car. It is very hard to get up against that outside wall and trust that you're not going to get too close to it and actually hit it, but that's, as a driver, you just have to do it.
Battle for second off turn 4. DeBarro took a look to the inside, falls back in, headed across the start-finish line. 35 laps now in the books, and it's a 3-car scrum for the lead in turn 1.
The drivers are finding it really hard to try to make a pass on somebody. Run the high side. Sure, you can dive it down low, but just the way that these cars are so loose, you're not getting the run off that you really realistically need. You're going to have to time something on quarter exit. That 9 machine that Jeff Ward knows, he's not really going to try to let anybody get on by. He liked the bottom. He used the bottom. Question is, now that Thomas J. George is really giving the heat to him, does that 9 machine go back down low, or is he going to try to take away Thomas J. George's preferred lane and ride the high side and try to force a car to play into number 1's hand? Looks like right now, back down to the bottom, 1 machine up high. That could open up a very small window of opportunity. Still leading though out of 4.
I really like the momentum you can get from the high lane off turn 4. I think, Brian, maybe what you try to do is you build that momentum off turn 4, get a huge run down the start-finish line in the front straightaway, and try to make that pass to the bottom in turn 1 if you're going to make the move.
Yeah, that's probably the best bet right now, but as the tires start to get more laps on them, I think you're going to see that outside line become more preferred. I'm not surprised that we're seeing this right now, but Thomas is also his teammate, so right now with 80 laps to go or so, he's not going to push him too hard. He doesn't want to wreck him, doesn't want to cause any issues. You're going to see a different story if this was 5 to go right now.
Oh, I agree wholeheartedly, and Thomas wants to win. He wants to get back on top of something here, and he's working 39 laps. He knows he's still got a lot of time left in this race. No reason to push it too hard too soon. So we work closer and closer to the 1/3 mark of this race, and we watch a great 3-car battle for the lead. Jeff Ward over Thomas George and Anthony DeBarro, the Iowa Speedway. We're going to go side by side on the Get to Know Newton 125. We'll be back to your screens in just a moment.
Truex in the outside, contact made. 56 slides it in at 4. Who's going to be at the stripe? Dead even, give it to Ryan Truex. Truex is your winner over Tandy.
Welcome back to LSRTV. You got the 27 of Chris Hone just coming off the pit lane. Going to drop a lap in the 19th position as we are working lap number 50 of 125 for the RSR Asphalt Assault TV series presented by Inside Sim Racing. Tonight, it's the Get to Know Newton 125 here in the heartland of America. Jacob Seelman, Evan Pasotto, Brian Macklin in the broadcast booth, high atop the front straightaway here in the cornfields of Iowa. And Evan, I'm watching this brilliant battle for the lead right now between Jeff Ward, Thomas George, and Anthony DeBarro. These three, and we were watching during the commercial break, George just all over the back bumper of Ward, gave him a shot at one point, and he's done everything but turn his teammate and just hasn't quite worked his way around yet.
Yeah, he's just playing with it right now, closing in. They look like they were actually starting to pull away from that 46 a little bit. They've left Herlo quite a little bit. That 07 machine right now, a second, and make it 1.1 seconds off of the top three right now, who continue to stay glued together. Thomas, again, though, continuing to take that higher line down in 3 and 4. Jeff still using the bottom. Two very different strategies, but so far they appear to be quite equal. And now you see that 46, the DeBarro. He's been following that one machine, the exact same line the last couple of laps. He's starting to peak down a little bit lower in 3 and 4, see if there's any sort of logic to this 9 strategy, and he's testing the waters.
He is, and Brian, yeah, fans may have seen a little bit of it while we were side by side here, but the one of Thomas George, I liked what he was doing the last couple laps in turns 1 and 2 when he almost got the nose on the 9 of Ward. He was kind of diamonding the corner almost, coming in just a little bit higher and pointing it to get a really good run off turn number 2. You know, we call it diamonding the corner because it kind of looks like half of a diamond when you do it just right on both ends. So I don't know if it's going to pay off. I know Ward's gapping them just a little bit right now. But when he was right there able to make a run, I think that strategy could come back to pay some dividends later in the race. I feel like maybe Thomas learned something that he can utilize when we get down 10, 15 laps to go.
Yeah, that was definitely something that he could use towards the end of the race. I think right now, though, he might have used his tires up because Jeff is starting to pull away from him. Now he's got a side-by-side battle here for second as Anthony DeBarro looked low, but the high line prevailed. That outside line, the momentum, it pushed Thomas George clear of him down the front stretch. I think his tires have started to go away. We're seeing Jeff pull away. We're seeing Anthony starting to stay close to him. He's going to have to take care of those tires when he gets down on pit road and finally gets a fresh set of tires. He's going to have to do something a little differently if he wants to keep up with Jeff on the long run.
Yeah, based on my calculator, we can't go 125 lap 7 on a tank of fuel. If you're going to pit, when do you think we're going to do it here tonight?
Well, we talked about how these guys did not pit early. You think, if you want tires, you never, want to turn down 4 tires, but the track position is also very key. So, you talk about tire fall off, and sometimes somebody's going to go and they're going to pull a short pit strategy so that they can get back out there. The tire fall off right now, let's use Anthony DeBarro as an example. He's running 3rd right now, running 25 ones at the start of this most recent green flag stretch. He was running 24 sixes, so that is a substantial, at least half a second differential. However, the question is, when you pit, is it worth risking going down a lap, getting caught on a cycle of caution flag pit stops? Then you might have to get away around. So I think if you're in Jeff Ward's position, he knows that he needs to defend, and that's why he thought about coming down the pit road. He saw other people may have stayed out. He jumped out. He needs to maintain that top spot if he wants to make it easy on himself. I think that Yeti Coolers machine, they want to just stay out there, ride it out as long as he can. You might see somebody else like even a Christopher Hurlow or a Matt Lacrosse right now who are good, but not quite as good as that 9. Try that short pitch strategy, come in a little bit earlier, see if it can pay off.
How about the battle for second heating up as Jeff Ward pulls away now by 3/4 of a second. Anthony DeBarro is just trying to knock off the rear deck lid of the one of Thomas George. He is laying on him off the exit of turn number 4. And these two, the 1 and the 46, going at it again down the back straightaway.
Hey, DeBarro was looking to the bottom again those couple of laps. I mentioned it. Now he's really trying to get that going. He goes all the way down to the yellow line. And it's like Brian said, he gets that half a car length. Just does not work off the corner because you can't get that run. The outside has such good momentum. This is great news for Jeff Ward. We talked about how the top 3 were all over each other. They're starting to fight for the second position with George and DeBarro. That's allowing Ward to pull away. He'll be a second gone from 2nd and 3rd by the time he hits the stripe the next time by. Part of this could be that one machine just starting to slow over the long green flag run, and it's forcing DeBarro to try to get around him as opposed to the 46 pressing the issue.
We're working lap number 62 right now, so in about a lap or so, we will get the cross flags and be halfway home. So, Evan, as we watch the battle for P2 with DeBarro taking a peek to the inside, let's take a look down our Ford Performance full field rundown here, just approaching the halfway point of the Get to Know Newton 125. We talked about him. Jeff Ward, the Yeti Coolers number 9, has led every lap so far. Right now, Thomas George and Anthony DeBarro in that heated battle for second. George has it at the moment. Christopher Hurlow is 4th and Matt Lacrosse 5th. 6th is Scott Simley. 7th, Nathan Little. 8th, Jose Gonzalez. 9th, Wyatt Wolf. 10th to William Kempf. Nice rebound for Kempf after being involved in one of those early caution flags.
Paul Williams doing a good job right now with the 88 machine. Looking low, trying to get P10 from William Kemp. And number 88 again, top 10 in practice. Poor qualifying effort. Up 10 spots to where he is at 11th right now. Behind him, Jamie Pitts on a good run to 99. 5 in the positive in 12th position. 13th is Jared Como. J.R. Johnson had some issues at the start of the race. The 37 back on track in 14th position. 15th right now is the number 60 Axe Target machine. That's the 60 of Kevin Kalstek. Behind him, 16th position is Greg Omo. 17th position, Steve Herring after starting on the provisional in 24th. He'll get a spot on Omo as the 91 goes high in the quarter. Jimmy Dorst, JR Motorsports Camaro, but banged up back at 18th. He's the last car on the lead lap. 19th is Brian Clark, 3 laps in the negative in a number 89. Everybody from here on out behind the wall, P20. Chris Hahn, he's out of this race, as well as Anthony Palumbo and Keith Brooks Jr., 21st and 22nd.
That's a look at your Ford full field rundown here with now 65 laps in the books. Ford go further. Change for second, though, in that full field rundown as Anthony DeBarro in the 46 has finally dispatched the one of Thomas George Boomtown to P2. Granted, the problem with that is, Brian, Jeff Ward's opened up 2 seconds on that battle.
Yeah, not only that, but Anthony had to use a lot of his tires up trying to get by Thomas George. Thomas is not easy to pass. He doesn't like to just pull over and let somebody by. He's going to make you work for it, and that works for him because it makes it where he's not going to lose as much track position, but it really hurts Anthony's chances here. And I was just looking at the lap times, and Anthony's mirroring Jeff's lap times pretty well right now that he's gotten by Thomas. I don't know if he's going to be quick enough to where you can run him down, but at least he's not going to lose too much more time to him.
He needs a caution is what he needs in that 46 machine. He's within about 2 or 3 100ths every single lap. So DeBarro hanging tough right now as we take a look now once again at the top 5. Ward, DeBarro, George, Hurlow, Simley as Jose Gonzalez, William Kempf. How about Kempf? He's just moved up a couple of spots, Evan. He was 10th a couple laps ago. Moves to P8 with that Miller Lite number 22 Ford.
And that's a good pickup because he's still under attack by the 88 of Paul Williams II. Looks like a huge run for the TaxSlayer.com Chevrolet. Going to make it a side-by-side fight for that number 8 position. 88 drops back in line. It's good, though, because Kemp was P10 and he was under attack by the 88. So while these guys have been fighting, they passed Wyatt Wolf and Jamie Pitts, the 56 and the 99, in a fight of their own right. Looks like Wyatt Wolf a little bit slowing on this long green flag stretch. The 99 puts a move on him. And now you see once again that 88 coming out of quarter 4. Paul Williams trying to get around William Kemp. He'll keep it on the inside. No ducking in line. He'll be committed on this fight side by side to 1. Oh, contact. Saves it.
Yikes. I think we all just lost our breath there for a minute, Evan. One of those moments where you've got a knot of cars from 8th all the way through about 11. Kemp, Williams, Pitt, Wolf, they're still slam-banging off each other, and now it's Kemp and Williams battling for 8th.
And that fight continues again. They're still scrapping for it off the quarter. You saw he was committed, and the small contact, luckily enough, if you're William Kemp, did not turn the 22 around. It got that 88 a little bit loose. Could have easily turned that Miller Lite Ford into the inside retaining wall, but he did a good job of a little bit of an overcorrection, step up the hill to hang on to it. He maintains P8, but here comes Jamie Pitts at a 99. Said he passed Wyatt Wolf after Wolf was slowing a little bit. The 99's just starting to pick up the pace. This machine started back in 17th position. Spectacular run tonight. He's not satisfied with that either. He wants 8th to the bottom. Not this time, but he's putting down very good laps right now.
Closing in on 50 laps to go. Right now, it's all Jeff Ward. We've had 72 laps. He's led every single one of them in that Yeti Coolers number 9 Chevrolet Camaro. Ward, DeBarro, George, Simley to 4th over Christopher Hurlow. The Get to Know Newton 125 from the Iowa Speedway returns in just a moment. We'll go side by side here on LSR TV.
Monza is a very historic track. It's been around since the 20s, and it's gone through several permutations since then. We're also bringing forward a number of configurations. So there's chicanes that they've installed since the track's early days. So they can use original, very high-speed configurations of the track where the cars would just blow through where the chicanes are today, or they could use a more modern version. So it's a pretty cool, compelling track. The unique thing about Monza is it has a road course, but it also has a high-speed oval, and that high-speed oval can be run by itself. The Grand Prix course can be run by itself, and they also can be run together in a combined circuit, which is very unique and special in motorsports. This was one of the more challenging projects that we've undertaken. It was essentially building 2 tracks in one. It took a lot of time and a lot of care was put into it, but we're really happy about the end result, and we think that people have a lot of fun driving it.
Cars are lined up on the grid. The RSR.com World Championship Grand Prix Series. We are underway. They all come down into turn 1 for the first time.
Truex on the outside, contact made. 56 slides in at a 4. Who's going to be at the stripe? Dead even, give it to Ryan Truex. Truex is your winner over Tandy.
Welcome back to LSRTV from the heartland of America, the Iowa Speedway. Jacob Seelman, Evan Pasoko, Brian Macklin in the broadcast booth as we bring you live coverage of Real Sim Racing's Asphalt Assault TV series, the Xfinity cars on track tonight, and seeing a little bit of strategy play out here in the closing laps at the Iowa Speedway. 84 going in the books this time. We got trouble, Brian Macklin, over in turn 4. Caution is out.
Yep, the 07 of Christopher Herlo got loose off turn 4 and just looped it down there on the front stretch, brought out the caution. This is really going to change things now because you've got some guys out here on an old tire strategy or on a fuel strategy. And now it's going to be interesting to see what Jeff Ward and Matt Lacrosse and the rest of your normal leaders are going to do here.
This also pins some guys down a lap. It actually is going to pin Christopher Herlo down 2 as they cross the stripe for 40 laps to go, Evan. So some of these guys who were way up in the field now going to be really struggling. We've only got 11 on the lead lap. Thomas George very lucky that he was able to get back onto the lead lap. So I don't know what we're going to see here in just a little bit, but it's about to get fun. I know that much.
Yeah, it was really turning out to be a good strategy, or it was going to be close for Jamie Pitts because Jeff Ward was getting to him at a rate that it would be close coming down to the end of it. Now they're going to be right behind him. I think it's a no decision. You got to do something. 99 was going to come down, was going to fake out. Eventually hits the pit lane. Jeff Ward's number 9 Yeti Cooler's entry now. Going to come through quarter 4. Does he elect to come down to the pit lane? No. Jeff Ward stays out. Matt Lacrosse comes in. DeBarro stays out. Gonzalez comes in. It's a 50-50 split from Jeff Ward on back.
I like some of these other guys coming and taking tires, Brian. I'm not sure about you. Jamie Pitts was the race leader. He's now on pit road, Evan, down in front of us.
And he was doing a great job getting up through the field. He'll now exit the stall to number 99, comes down, takes 4 Goodyear Eagles, gas and go. They're good till the end. And he exits the pit lane. He'll be the first machine off.
All right, so Brian, now we got ourselves a little bit of a party. We're gonna have some fresher tires, some older tires, some new guys in play. I think we're about to see a real race break out.
Yeah, this is about to get exciting. We've got 11 cars on the lead lap, so it's not like these guys that are on old tires are going to have a big gap. There's only going to be a handful of guys between them and the ones on fresh tires. I'm trying to look back here, and it looks like 5th place is going to have fresh tires and with Jamie Pitts in the number 99. So they don't have a lot of breathing room here when they get back going green. Earlier on, we heard Thomas saying that guys are having a hard time getting up through the field on fresh tires, but now they're already there. They're at the front. Now it's just a matter of getting by a few guys, and whew, this is going to be an exciting little stint here.
All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to slide in a quick commercial break while we're under caution, come back, and hopefully bring you green flag to the finish from Iowa Speedway. This is the Real Sim Racing Asphalt Assault Xfinity Series. Jeff Ward.
Trucking has always been a part of me. It started years ago when my dad and granddad were hauling vegetables to market in Liverpool. The family immigrated to Canada in the late 60s and settled near Alliston, Ontario. I bought my first truck in 1982 and Mercer Trucking was born. Today, Mercer Trucking has over 50 trucks in terminals in Toronto and Los Angeles. Our storage facilities at both terminals can handle any size of distribution needs throughout North America. We service the continental U.S., including Hawaii and Alaska. We run over 120,000 miles per month and some of the best equipment on the road today. We specialize in less than truckload shipments, show freight, we do rush team service deliveries, and haul your refrigerated or heated product. Our regular team service from Canada to California is second to none. and our staff and drivers are among the best in the business. I'm proud of our people and what they can achieve. Trucking is in my blood, it's my livelihood, and it's what I do best.
Welcome back to LSRTV, gearing up for a restart. I just came over the race control channel, the radio in my ear, and I'm hearing some comments that John Abbott and Dwayne Vincent are making. And Evan, I don't know. They keep calling themselves two old guys in the broadcast booth here, right next door to us, making these calls. I don't know if I would go that far. I mean, I'm hearing Dwayne go, "Come on now, John, take it easy on us. We still race too."
And then they're still out there and they're competitive. The light's off of the pace car. We're going to go back at it. They may be a little bit busy on controlling what's going to be going on here for these next 35 laps. It's about to get real fun. Jeff Ward at the top of the pile. A lot of guys with no tires, a lot of guys with fresh ones, beginning with 5th on back.
Yeah, how about that? The first 2 rows are on a little bit older tires. Jamie Pitts was your race leader in the 99. He's going to be on the freshest tires. The iRacing Ford First Mustang pace car heads for pit lane. Anthony DeBarro tries to time the restart, and he will do it almost to perfection. Down to turn 1. DeBarro to the outside for the lead.
And the outside's been better on the restarts. He's going to get sideways, though. He was digging for it. That'll cost him. Jeff Ward going to get clear. Down low goes Scott Sinley. Down low goes Thomas J. George. One machine's pushing to 14. He's got fresh tires, and now George is sideways hanging on. Meanwhile, the outside, the big winner's out of 4.
Yeah, how about DeBarro getting back to 2nd? How about William Kempf on fresh tires, trying to use the outside lane to go to P2? Off the back straightaway, that Miller Lite machine's trying to make some moves, and now the 99 and Jamie Pitts in the fence.
Decks him up a little bit, keeps on going. They still sit side by side in front of him. Simley down on the bottom, sliding up high. William Kemp so close to the fence every single time. He'll win the battle. He'll pick up P3. Still needs to get around Anthony DeBarro if he wants to be able to get to Jeff Ward. It's a half a second between Ward and Kemp right now. And if the 22's catching, 46 is as well. DeBarro trying to close the gap. Everybody up high in 3 and 4 except Jeff Ward.
Except Jeff Ward, and I don't know if it's going to cost him yet, Brian. That 9 car has been so good all night, but he's got some hungry hounds behind him, and at least William Kempf, I know, is on fresh tires. I like that 22. He could play spoiler in this.
Yeah, you said it. He can play spoiler, and he's doing a good job. He was not even a factor up here in the top 5 until he got on fresh tires and has this strategy. Is now he's got a little bit of momentum here. Is he going to be able to get under the 46? No, he's not. But this is going to be interesting. This is his best shot to beat Jeff, and this is what somebody was going to have to do if they wanted to beat him, was get off sequence with him and do a different kind of strategy. And I like this call. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens as everybody's tires start to wear a little bit more. Boy, if we can go green to the finish, we really might see some action here towards the front of the field. Kemp's already trying to go to work on DeBarro for 2nd, this time by 30 laps to go. Matt Lacrosse side by side. That's the battle for 4th with Scott Simley in 1. 14 and 21.
Yeah, Simley was down low. Now he's got the upper hand up high. You would think the 21 of Matt Lacrosse has not had any success down low, trying to get back up to where he started this race in 3rd spot. He spent all race doing so. Really digging out of 4. Not quite clear. Sideways again. Hangs on to it, but loses a lot of speed. And the bottom lane bites the 21 yet again.
Yeah, how many times have we seen that tonight, Brian? Look at William Kempf to the outside off 2.
Oh, he kind of overdrove the corner there and almost hit the wall. This has been exciting. The big loser here on this restart has been Thomas George. He's dropped all the way back to 8th place. He got ate up by those guys on fresh tires, and now he's just kind of hanging on, hoping for a caution so now he can come in and get tires.
And we're working it now, 27 to go when they come back to the line. It's a 3-man breakaway at the front of the field. Scott Simley's more than a second back of your race leader, Jose Gonzalez. How about him up to P6 as DeBarro looks up high. He is trying to close that gap back down. It's about 4 car lengths as they come to the stripe, Evan. That 46 wants it bad.
And he's in the spot right now that Thomas J. George was earlier. He was trying to get around that one machine and couldn't do so, was making it hard. He was doing the same thing on William Kempf not all that long ago. However, now, 22 falling off a little bit. He's lost that major advantage that his tires had. Again, they haven't been out here, the guys that did not pit, for that long. They just literally went through the green flag cycle. The 22 does have the better tires by a couple of laps, but really, he needed to capitalize on that restart. Got 2 spots, okay. But up to third right now, kind of stuck there. He made it within 4 tenths. It looked like him and DeBarro were closing on Jeff Ward. Now they both begin to slide back. The 46 is 4 tenths off, and the 22 is 7 tenths off. Jeff Ward making the no tires work. Again, track position today over the game. It's working for the Yeti Cooler Chevy.
It is working right now. We are now 25 laps from home here at the Iowa Speedway. 100 complete. That time by the start-finish line, and Brian Macklin, Jeff Ward is in a great spot right now. We've been talking about it for a few weeks in these Asphalt Assault Xfinity races. He just hasn't been able to get one. He's trying to become the first driver in RSR history to win in all 3 series in the same season. He's on his way right now. 24 more, and he can celebrate.
Yeah, and that is a great feeling to know that you rewrite a part of history. And I know he may not think about it all the time, but right now that's probably something that's going through his mind. He's been so close in a lot of these races. He's had one of the best cars pretty much every single time we've come to the racetrack, and for whatever reason he hasn't come to victory lane. But you know, at some point it's going to happen. I think we've all kind of felt that in the back of our heads, and he's definitely in the right position to do that tonight, and barring some type of catastrophe here in the last 20 laps, I think he's going to get it done.
I would say barring some type of catastrophe or Anthony DeBarro finding a little bit of nitrous on board that number 46 Chevy Camaro. Evan, DeBarro, one of the most talented rookies we've seen come into RSR all season long. He has had speed from the first race he won with these guys, and you know, when you can take it to somebody like Jeff Ward and put pressure on him week after week after week, really makes these guys kind of open their eyes a little bit. And I've heard a lot of guys, not just Ward and the Steel Horse crew, they're giving DeBarro a lot of respect. They recognize that this is a cat that's going to be around the whole rest of the season, and he's going to be contending.
And the fact that he doesn't have that win yet is surprising to some, because again, we talked about how many thought he was going to get the win in the Outlaw Trucks a couple of weeks ago. Did not quite get it all the way done at the end of the race. Fell back late. Right now, in a spot to capitalize, Jeff Ward, slow that time coming out of quarter 4, was just gaining a lot. Check it up a little bit on exit there. Loses some substantial time to Anthony DeBarro, allowing that 46 to close in. That right there, 20 laps to go. And I think I have to agree with you guys on the fact that even if DeBarro's able to catch Jeff Ward, which in and of itself tonight has been almost impossible for anybody to do, I don't know how you're going to be able to pass him, get the lead, and defend it all within such a short time frame. He's starting to close in, but only by about the 100th or 2 lap. Not going to be enough. Really needs to find something here.
He does. We are just inside 20 to go, so let's take a look at our inside sim racing. 20 to go here for the RSR Asphalt Assault Series. Jeff Ward has just dominated this race. He led about the first 75 laps before coming down pit road, and Brian Macklin, you said you like him to go all the way to the penthouse tonight.
Yeah, we've seen it all night. He's been almost impossible to beat. He pretty much has been impossible to beat. He's been out front, and as hard as it is to pass here, I just don't know that anybody's going to do anything with him. If we get a late race caution and people pit and take fresh tires, then that might be their best shot at it. But even then, he's probably going to be able to hold you off. He's just been that dominant tonight.
And he continues to slide now just a little bit. 0.6 of a second. A gap between Jeff Ward and Anthony DeBarro. Behind them, William Kempf. Clean air for the number 22 Miller Lite Ford. Sits alone in third. Scott Simley fourth. Jamie Pitts in fifth. Matt LaCrosse trying to get back up to the field. He'll put a pass on the 26 of Jose Gonzalez. That's for P6. 21 put that move on Thomas J. George not all that long ago. Same thing works on that 26 machine, and trying to recover again for lost ground. Back up to 6th.
I know you two both like Jeff Ward. You know, I do want to give a shout out to the 22 of William Kempf. That Miller Lite Ford has just really impressed me. He made a nice run through the field, started top 10, really hasn't run there a lot of the race. He got caught up in a one of the earlier caution flags, but has rebounded very nicely, used that alternate tire strategy to get up onto the podium, and if he can hold it, it'll be, I believe, his best finish of the Asphalt Assault season to date. He's going to have to defend it from Scott Simley, but right now, we're coming down to it. DeBarro's losing a little bit of time, Evan, but we're just going to have 14 laps to go as Jeff Ward crosses the stripe this time.
Yeah, we talk about William Kemp. He's starting to lose his little bit of a cushion over Scott Simley. Said that he was all by himself. Well, he dropped a half a second in 3 laps. The 14 Budweiser Ford now close it in very quickly. A little bit sideways down there in 1 and 2. Step it up the hill and hangs on, but loses a small bit of momentum that is very key in these Xfinity B-Class cars. Looks back down a little bit lower than that 22 rise. Scott Simley trying to get the job done. Equally as so wants to be able to get there as the laps continue to wind down. But if the intervals are any sort of, determining factor up here up front, Anthony DeBarro now 3/4 of a second back, continuing to slide. May have been that last final push we saw those last couple of laps, and maybe the 46 just has nothing left.
You know, we talk about a guy like Kyle Busch in the NASCAR Sprint Cup, Xfinity, and Camping World Truck Series, who can go and in the same season win in all 3 series. And I think we've started to see, Brian, and I could even almost compare Jeff Ward to a Kyle Busch. He's a wheelman. He's a guy who doesn't know when to throw in the towel. He'll drive you hard every single lap of every single race. And like Kyle, he's a threat on any given race night. He has just proven, really, we talk about Chad Cole being so good in RSR. I think there may just be a new king in town, and that may just belong to Jeff Ward.
Yeah, that is a really good comparison. I was actually thinking about that a little while ago, that he's just so good in anything that he runs, and that's very similar to Kyle Busch. And being as dominant as he is, that's very frustrating for the rest of the competition, because all you want is to be able to go up there and beat him, and when you can't do it, it just really takes a lot of steam out of you. And at some point, he's going to get beat. I'm not saying that he's unbeatable, because anybody can be beat, but it's just so frustrating and so hard to do, because he's just fast everywhere. He's the whole package, you could say. You take him to a speedway, he's fast. You take him to a short track, he's fast. We haven't seen him on a road course yet, but I believe when we go to Sonoma in the Full Throttle Series, you're going to see him up front battling for the win there too. He's got it all. He's just good everywhere.
We're down to it. This time by, it'll be 8 laps of racing to go here from Iowa. This so unique 7/8 of a mile racetrack designed by Rusty Wallace, and a couple of battles still going on along this racetrack. Jamie Pitts, Matt LaCrosse have been going at it for position number 5. LaCrosse, Evan, last time by in that 21, really was trying to make a charge on the 99 of Pitts. He's fallen back about a car length then.
We saw Matt LaCrosse get back up into a top running spot. He was in 4th, and again, he fell back early, took all the time to get up there, got sideways, dropped back to 9th, doing the same thing, trying to recover. He's been putting slide jobs on people, especially in quarters 3 and 4. He did it to George, he did it to Gonzalez. Throw down, slide up in front of them, and both times he got a nudge in the quarter number 1, saying I did not appreciate that, but it worked. Right now, he's trying to do the same thing as you said on Jamie Pitts. Meanwhile, that battle for 3rd has been resolved. Scott Simley to get it. The 14 machine down through on the bottom. Budweiser Ford going to take it over from the Miller Lite Ford. So that battle for 3rd comes to a resolution for now. The 14 getting the upper hand.
I would call that a battle of the breweries for the final podium spot. Side by side behind him for 5th once again. That final spot in the top 5. This time going to go to Matt LaCrosse. He clears Jamie Pitts off of turn number 2. He actually got it at the stripe. Meanwhile, though, for our race leader, Jeff Ward, he's a 2nd and change ahead of Anthony DeBarro and just 5 laps away from home. The leader's off turn 2.
Well, I said I wanted to see that green flag stretch to see if anybody could challenge Jeff Ward on a long run. I got that. And now, just as we say, that caution flag will fly. This may just be all of it. That's all she wrote. Christopher Hurlow around the 07 Chevrolet out in the front straightaway grass. Going to be contact off the corner with the number 60 of Kevin Kalstek. Looks like that Target machine got a little bit sideways, caught the 07. They both ended up in the grass. Caution flag flies. 1 lap too late from giving us an opportunity for a restart.
1 lap too late, but for Jeff Ward, it is going to be a yellow flag that he, no doubt, is very excited about. Going to complete that trifecta that Brian Macklin brought up earlier in this race. And, you know, Evan, I don't know that we really stop and think about the fact RSR has been around since the mid to late 2000s. You know, it moved over to iRacing when the service first opened. There's been so many drivers come through the doors of the simulation, and yet no one, until tonight, has been able to accomplish what Jeff Ward is about to accomplish here in about 3 more laps. I mean, he's just been so good, and I don't want to discount how important this is, because that Yeti Coolers machine, he did have to work hard for this one tonight.
You know, you look at how strong he's been, and you'll talk to somebody like a guy like a Jamie Pitts with a great run tonight. 17th place car, 16th if you average maybe their practice and qualifying speeds. He'll get a top 6. Strategy, drove that machine hard. You'll talk to a guy like that after the race, and you'll ask him if this gives them momentum, and to say, you know, they know that they have the confidence that they can get the job done, they'll roll forward. Jeff Ward getting checkered flags after checkered flags is doing the exact same thing. The only question I might have to ask that number 9, Jacob, is, how did this not happen sooner? How did it take him this long in 2015 to do it? He's been so strong, and finally putting the bow tie on the one that's eluded him.
I know. You know, there's 1 or 2 of these Asphalt Assault Series races that I thought maybe he was going to have his hands on, and just for one reason or another, they just didn't quite fall his way. Not tonight, though. Double popsicle sticks in the air this time by, so we are 2 laps away and about 1.75 miles from home. And, you know, there's a lot of guys who we haven't talked about all night that end up getting really solid runs. Another guy that I think deserves mention, Evan, because we really didn't say much about him until right here at the very end, the number 91, back here, the Klondike machine, Greg Omo, getting a really solid top 10 finish tonight.
Yeah, I was just about to think that, as you mentioned. I scrolled through the top 10 here, and that's the number that it popped out as well. Great run, and they improved on that machine throughout the night as well. Didn't really have practice speed, really nailed their qualifying effort. That was the best lap they put down all night, and they built on that. They worked with that track position, which, as we saw, was very key. They'll steal a top 10 from some of the regulars here. Nathan Little right behind him, rounding out the top 10. But there are a lot of good guys that got good positions as far as from where they started. Jimmy North starts 11th. That's up 9 from where he began this race. Up 10 positions, Stephen Herring in the 98 General Mills Chevy as well. However, there's equally as so as we got drivers that improved. There's drivers that did not end very well. One of those names, Anthony Palombo, a night that could have been maybe for that 87 machine. He's one of the drivers that ends up with a DNF.
Yeah, Palombo, you know, we expect a lot of things from him. I think he will get a win before the end of this year. That 87's been very, very good, and I expect good things out of him going forward. And this is also going to make the points battle here in the Asphalt Assault picture just a little bit clearer for Jeff Ward as well in that 9 machine. We know how solid a job he has done to date. He will no doubt continue that tonight as he's going to work through turns 3 and 4 behind that iRacing Ford First Mustang pace car for what's going to amount to the final time. And when we get back to the start-finish line, they can cue up the radio and get ready to celebrate. Caution and checkers gonna fly as the Yeti Coolers Chevrolet Camaro works down the front straightaway for the last time. The trifecta is complete. Jeff Ward becomes the first RSR driver to win in all 3 series in the same season. He picks up tonight's Asphalt Assault Xfinity stop at the Iowa Speedway. Anthony DeBarro second, Scott Simley in third, William Kemp fourth, Matt LaCrosse rounding out your top 5. It's done, Evan. He can finally celebrate, and he's getting the celebratory tap from his teammate Thomas George. Those two, I have a feeling, are going to be partying long into the night tonight.
And not only does that 9 get the win, but they had some fun as well, fighting on earlier in this race. So everybody in the nation is asking, if American Pharoah can do the Triple Crown after winning the Kentucky Derby. Well, Jeff Ward made it look very easy tonight. Finally getting that 3rd win, and this time coming for the first time in this Asphalt Assault B-Series presented by Inside Sim Racing TV. He's used to taking checkered flags, so pick up another one at the flag stand here and burn it down. History made to this evening in Newton, Iowa.
So Jeff Ward picks up the victory in Iowa, and we'll talk to him here on LSR TV coming up in just a few minutes. We're going to head to our LSR TV post-race show. When we come back, Ward, DeBarro, Simley ahead. The podium after this. From Iowa Speedway, this is LSRTV and the RSR Asphalt Assault Xfinity Series.
Here's the thing that makes life so interesting. The theory of evolution claims only the strong shall survive. Maybe so. Maybe so. But the theory of competition says just because they're the strong doesn't mean they can't get their asses kicked. That's right. See, what every long shot come from behind underdog will tell you is this. The other guy may in fact be the favorite. The odds may be stacked against you, fair enough. But what the odds don't know is this isn't a math test. This is a completely different kind of test. One where passion has a funny way of trumping logic. So before you step up to the starting line, before the whistle blows and the clock starts ticking, just remember out here, the results don't always add up. No matter what the stats may say, and the experts may think, and the commentators may have predicted, when the race is on, all bets are off. Don't be surprised if somebody decides to flip the script and take a pass on yelling uncle. And then suddenly, as the old saying goes, we got ourselves a game.
Back live at the Iowa Speedway here, the post-race show on LSRTV, getting things kicked off, and Jacob Seelman is down. No, Brian Macklin actually down for the broadcast booth. Brian, you've caught up with who's going to come home in third place this evening. You're down with Scott Simley.
Yep, I'm down here with Scott Simley, our third place finisher tonight. It was a very quiet race for him tonight. Scott, tell us about your race. I saw you having a nice little battle with William Kempf there in the closing laps. What was that like going through the closing stages of the race there with William and the rest of the top five?
It was better for me on the longer run. Definitely is. It's kind of, the car's pretty wild. I was pretty loose, trying to just take care of it too, and then it showed towards the end of that first run there. I seemed like I was gaining time, at least on a couple of people ahead of me. I think I was in fourth or something, and then towards the end of the race I didn't get a good restart and I dropped back, but I was able to get the spot back and able to put a slide job on and get third anyway. So it was a good evening.
Yeah, we watched you do the slide job, and it was quite the impressive move. It was about the only way you could really pull off a pass here tonight. It seemed like after the tires got worn, you really couldn't make a move without having to do some kind of a slide job down in 3 and 4. How hard was it to get the track position throughout the race and try to get up to the front and make the passes?
It was pretty difficult. It's pretty tough to pass. There's really, I don't know, for me, high line versus low line on passing, they're both really difficult unless you get a good run. But I was definitely faster than William, at least I felt like it, and I figure the only way I'm going to get by him really is to drive it in there pretty hard and just slide up.
Yeah, and you did an amazing job tonight, finishing in the third position. Do you have any sponsors or anybody at home that you want to thank for what you've done tonight?
You guys up in the booth, LSRTV, do a great job. My friends, the Wolfpack team, ITSR Racing, and RSR, you do an awesome job too. Keep putting on some good races, and we'll look forward to next week.
All right, and that is your third place finisher, driver the number 14, Scott Simley. Now we're going to Evan Pisacco, who I believe is caught up with our second place finisher.
We're down on the pit lane, caught up with the driver of the number 46 Race Chaser Online. Boomtown Sim Chevrolet Camaro of Anthony DeBar. Anthony, first off, the congratulations coming in from your fellow RCR Boomtown drivers, but you come home second tonight yet again on a Wednesday, this time in the Xfinity Series. So very close to a win. 0.3 of a second off. It ended under yellow. You were there and just started to slide off when it all said and done there. Pit strategy, a lot of it came into a factor, but we saw when you were running in third. Thomas was in front of you. You saw Jeff run in the bottom. You thought about it and you started to play with the waters a little bit. Eventually went down there to evidently make that pass. Jeff Ward wins, and again, another dominating fashion. When you went down low, that's where he was all night. Everybody else was up high. What was the deciding factor in that?
I was just really trying to try different grooves in 3 and 4. 1 and 2 was really just one single groove where you had to get a real late arc and such and get straight off of 2. But 3 and 4 was anyone's groove. But I tried it. I mean, after 2 or 3 laps in the bottom, I would just get so tight down there. I don't know how he kept doing it every lap. So I was happier up top.
You take a look at an interesting caution flag that flew right after our cycle of green flag pit stops there. Could have gone a lot of different ways. The strategy call that you guys went with ended up with a P2. Do you second guess that, or do you think it gave you the best shot you could have gotten?
No, I think that was the right call because you could not pass at all with how greasy the track was. So I just communicated with my teammates, and we decided that was the best to stay out, and I'm happy to come home P2. That's great.
It's a great finish. Tonight marks the first time in RSR history one driver wins in all 3 different series in a single season. Jeff Ward doing that. You could very well have been almost close to that, though. 2 times now, first in the trucks and now in the Xfinity Series. Very, very close to a win. What do you think it's going to take for this 46 team to break through and get that first checkered flag, considering how strong you guys have been?
Well, I'm just happy to be in the same sentence with Jeff Ward, how good he's been, and I'm just trying to have clean runs out there and gain respect from everyone since I'm pretty new to RSR.
Well, the drivers are taking notice. Another strong finish for you guys. Second in qual, you finished P2, Anthony. Who makes it happen for you in that number 46 team?
I'd like to thank Speed 77 Radio, Race Chaser Online, and Performance Motorsports Network, and also Jacob. I'd like to thank him too. It wouldn't be possible without him. And of course my teammates, Mitch, Corbin, Jared, and Chris. This would not be possible without all of them.
We want to congratulate you again, Anthony. Another strong performance, and hopefully we'll be talking to you in weeks to come, and hopefully for your sake it's going to be in victory lane. Best of luck rolling forward in the rest of the season.
Thank you. Looking forward to it.
That is the driver that comes home runner-up to a driver that has been so strong in the Real Sim Racing through Full Throttle Cup as well. Now the Outlaw Trucks, and finally in the Asphalt Assault TV series presented by Inside Sim Racing TV. Jacob Seelman down in Gatorade victory lane with the driver to do the first time at RSR to win all 3 series in one season. Quite an accomplishment. He's with Jeff Ward.
Yeah, Gatorade Victory Lane is celebratory for the Boomtowns. The Steel Horse Racing crew. I'm just all flustered, Jeff, because we were talking about this, I think, the entire broadcast. You, sir, have now done something not only that nobody else has ever done in RSR competition. You put a licking on them tonight here in Iowa. Dominated the first 2/3 of this race, led about 75 laps before you came down pit road. I'm sure you had to be a little bit nervous once you were back in traffic a little bit on that late pit strategy, but you were able to cycle back through, get the lead, and then never look back. And even still, you told me before we came back on air, your car was a little bit angry tonight?
Yeah, Jacob, it was a real handful out there tonight. I'm really lost for words as far as getting the 3 series wins. All we can do is really celebrate the heck out of it. That's special for me and for my team. So I'm stoked that we was able to get that done. This thing was a handful. I basically ran the bottom all night. Like you was talking with Anthony there, a lot of guys ran up high. I could see them in my mirror pretty much staying up there. I knew if I could keep running on the bottom, just doing something different from everybody else and kind of make it work, that we might be in good shape. And I actually felt like in the long runs I was saving tires a little bit down there, especially that right rear where you're not, flooring it up off the top there and eating it up, coming out, getting loose. So, yeah, just an awesome car. And I got to hand it to Thomas there, my teammate. He really gave me some slack a couple times there. I think he could have dove under me and challenged me for the lead. So he gave me some room there, and then the car kind of came to me and was able to get back out there. But all in all, this is awesome. It's been an unbelievable stretch here.
It's special anytime you can do something in RSR that Chad Cole has not done. And, we talk about Chad as probably the unbridled king of RSR, but I was telling Evan about halfway through this race, just with the way you've come on with the Steel Horse Racing bunch and really started to make things happen. And, you've been a factor everywhere we've gone. It's not just one car, one series, one track. Anywhere, everywhere, truck, Xfinity Cup, short track, speedway. We've got road courses later that I'm sure you'll be a factor at. You've just been able to do it all. And I made the comment that you might just be the new king coming after the throne. I know you just want to look at it as one race at a time, but do you guys at Steel Horse feel like you've kind of come out swinging and put everybody else on a little bit of notice here?
Well, all the credit goes to my team. My buddy Mike Bailey is always logging laps with me, and I don't want to jump ahead on anything. We're a rookie in this league, and I said when I joined this league and when I got with Steel Horse, I'm gonna buy all the equipment I need, and I'm gonna come out here and really try to attack this thing and try to run good. So it's really been a roller coaster, but in a good way so far. So hopefully we can keep this momentum. The team has good chemistry, so we can just keep this thing going.
It's been a lot of fun to watch, Jeff, and I know it's not possible by yourself. You've mentioned a few of them, but sponsors, shout-outs, who makes it happen for Jeff Ward?
It's a long list. Steel Horse Racing, RSR, like I said, it definitely is the best league I've ran yet, and I think it's why we're dedicated to it. And just you guys always doing a great broadcast, and friends and family.
The Kentucky Bandit gets it done, finally steals that Asphalt Assault Xfinity victory. Jeff Ward stands alone. The trifecta is complete in Gatorade Victory Lane tonight. Now we're going to send it upstairs as we get ready to look at the final results. Evan Pasoko, it's up to you and Brian Macklin here in the broadcast booth.
And we talked to Jeff Ward, and for the first time again, getting that win. Going to get one in 03 Top Touring Series with Real Sim Racing, taking home the checker with the sweep of the evening. All ones across the board, first in practice, first in qualifying, and first in the race. Anthony DeBarro comes home second overall, and Scott Sinley would walk away with the top three. We talked to all of them. William Kemp just sliding to fourth in the closing laps in that one. Still gets a top five out of it. And Matt Lacrosse recovers for a P5 finish after sliding to ninth on the final green flag stint. Sixth position to Jamie Pitts. Jose Gonzalez with a seventh. Eighth position to Thomas J. George. A ninth position to Greg Omo. And Nathan Little would round out our top 10.
Finishing 11th was Jimmy North. Wyatt Wolf took home the P12 position. Jared Como in the number 41 RCO Boomtown car, he got P13. Steve Herring took 14th, and rounding out the top 15, Paul Williams the second. Not the run he was looking for. He finished the first car one lap down right there. Also a lap down was J.R. Johnson in number 37. He finished 16th. Christopher Hurlow finished 17th after a really rough race. He was 2 laps down. Kevin Kostock took the 18th position in the number 60. Brian Clark was in 19th and number 89. And Chris Hahn was in the number 20th position. Out of the race and joining him in the garage was the number 87 of Anthony Palumbo. He got 21st. And then the last car that finished this field was Keith Brooks Jr., the number 81. He took home the 22nd position.
All right, so that's a look at your final results presented by Ford Drive 1 as I've rejoined you guys up here in the tower now, and we look back on a historic night for RSR competition. Jeff Ward completing the trifecta. Evan, he does it in dominant fashion.
And again, I'll say it again, as hard as it is, to get a win, let alone, and Anthony DeBarro has shown us that, because that team has been so strong. That entire operation has been good, but not as good as Jeff Ward. The team is absolutely dominated. We loaded in and we were talking and go, oh, Jeff Ward's up front. It's almost not even fair tonight on how strong that team has been. The only question I ask again is, how did it take this long to get it finally in these B cars? He gets the job done. Huge momentum, and if this next, coming up 2-3 weeks here is anything like the last few, there's going to be a lot of drivers starting to get real desperate because Jeff Ward continues his tear through Real Sim Racing with another win tonight.
Brian, I know for you it was one of those nights where we knew it was going to be different from the drop of the green flag because it was a day race here at Iowa. I liked what I saw. People were sliding around, fighting for grip. Yeah, it was a little hard to pass, but boy, when we got them side by side, or in some cases even 3 wide, they put on a show for the viewers tonight.
Yeah, well, that was the thing. The fact that they were having to slide around like that and really have to get up on the wheel, that made the racing that much more exciting, because when you're side by side, so many more things are happening now. You're not just trying to control the car by yourself. Now you're trying not to run into the guy that's on your outside or on your inside, and you're hoping he doesn't get loose and slide down into you, and it just creates a whole different element to the racing, and it was a lot of fun. We had a lot of good side-by-side battles like you mentioned, and Jeff Ford did what he's been doing all season long. He went out there and just dominated, and then finally got that win so he could complete the trifecta. I'm really impressed with those guys that stayed out on that one strategy. They ran out there longer than everybody else did on the fuel, and guys like William Kempf took home a 4th place finish. Jamie Pitts, we didn't talk much about him at all. He started 17th and got a 6th place finish. So there was just a whole lot of excitement going on tonight, and it was a really good show for the fans.
It really was, but all told, Jeff Ward led 113 of 125 laps. He'll take the win in the Get to Know Newton 125, and one more time, we're giving a shout out to those Steel Horse boys because the number 9 crew is victorious tonight in the heartland of America. So for Evan Pasoko, Brian Macklin, and our executive producer Laura Lawson, along with John Abbott and the entire crew from Real Sim Racing, I'm Jacob Seelman, congratulating Jeff Ward and Steel Horse Racing here from Iowa Speedway, and we'll see you back on Monday night for the next round of the Real Sim Racing Full Throttle Cup Series at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. For right now, keep it off the wall until we meet again, and we'll see you next time on the web. Good night from the cornfields of Iowa.